Okay, we are back. Again, if you are just joining us, welcome. We are glad you could join us this evening. We're about to go into our third and final session of the evening, Home to Home Visits. Presenting is Marlene Yepez, a proud graduate and parent of Dallas ISD. She is in her 23rd year of education and is currently serving as a campus support team coach in the Dallas ISD Family and Community Engagement Office. Marlene, if you're ready, I will turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Good afternoon, families. Happy to see you, and I'm glad you stayed with us. We have one more session, a little bit more time with us. Hopefully you will be able to make some connections with what we're about to see, and so thank you again. Today we will look in depth why home-to-home visits are important for our children. Next slide, please. We will look at the different components included in our district whole school model. We will look at the effective family engagement framework and core practices, as well as understanding those partnerships that are built while families are engaged in 5 important parent roles. We know that if all of this is done, it ensures that our children are supported for academic success. At this time, think about the family engagement activities you are presently doing to be an active participant with your child's campus. Which ones are those that you find yourself doing more often? Is it helping teachers in the classroom? Is it learning about what the school is doing? Is it attending grade level PTA meetings? Or the PTA performances that our children do often? Is it helping your child at home? Is it attending field trips? Is it selling snacks or school apparel after school? Is it attending parent-teacher conferences? What do you see yourself doing and have been doing for these past few school years? Next slide, please. So our Dallas ISD whole school model consists of 5 important components. 5 components that are needed to build trusting relationships. Relationships that begin during home visits and in turn create those partnerships for children's academic achievement. The whole school model consists of campus collaborations, shifting mindsets, home-to-home visits, academic partnerships, and listening tours. Let me share a little of our model. Our whole school model began when Dallas ISD had a collaboration with the Flamboyant Foundation in Washington, D.C. The collaboration began with a commitment of learning, collaborating, planning, and executing family engagement goals. So this past school year, our department, Family and Community Engagement, alongside the Flamboyant Foundation, were able to support 4 campuses throughout the district, which included 4 elementary schools in our cohort 1. Julian T. Saldivar Elementary, Eladio R. Martinez Learning Center, Henry B. Gonzalez Personalized Learning Academy, and we are happy to say also that we had Ronald Irwin McNair, but these 4 campuses received teacher professional development on this model, as well as campus collaboration from a Dallas ISD family community engagement coach that supported their family engagement leadership team. Also, all teachers at these campuses had the opportunity to do a home visit with each of their students. This year, campuses were given the opportunity to apply to be part of the whole school model. We are happy to announce that we will be collaborating with Bertie Alexander Elementary. And so as you see, you may not have heard of the whole school model before, and your campus may not be able to collaborate or hasn't collaborated with us in a way before, but it's a model that brings relationships together from one thing to another. And it is something that all of us can engage in. So let's learn together what this model is all about. We will learn how these components of campus collaboration, mindset, home-to-home visits, academic partnerships, and listening tours help in guiding all parents to be engaged with student success, specifically focusing on home-to-home visits. Next slide, please. So let's first talk about campus collaboration. What does that mean to you as a parent? Let me give you about 10 seconds to think about that. Think about what are some words that come to mind about campus collaboration. And okay, let me give you those 10 seconds. Okay, so then maybe you thought about things such as talking to teachers. Maybe it's partnering with the school. Maybe you are thinking of how to ask for a resource or for help. Maybe accomplishing goals. Maybe thinking outside the box on how to reach a goal. Maybe addressing concerns, contributing, guiding, developing, creating, assisting. If you thought some of these words, you are correct. Next slide, please. Campus collaboration is a small group of staff members, volunteers, and outside community organizations coming together to help plan for student achievement. And when we're talking about this campus collaboration, we're talking about specifically to the whole school model, how a team comes together and looks over information. And it doesn't necessarily mean campus parent organizations or a parent group that are in place at this time. For those campuses that participated in cohort 1, which I just mentioned, it meant having a FELT team, a family engagement leadership team. The team would meet at least twice per month and discuss family engagement that would help with student achievement. Now think, do you think your campus could benefit from having their own family engagement team? Absolutely. Think about who at your campus could help lead the small campus collaboration for student achievement. When we think of student achievement, we think of those things that help a campus succeed. For example, it's learning about the campus plan, the campus goals, and identifying those resources, such as staff, volunteers, organizations, materials, and planned activities, and those events that will help support our student learning. This also includes looking at parent and family data that we will discuss a little bit more of further in the session. But before we can get to all of us to do work together, we have to learn how to do this work together. We have to identify those things that may prevent us from moving on to next steps. Things such as our mindset. Next slide, please. So in order for the campus and its community, including the parents and students, there's a mindset that we have to keep in mind. According to Stanford University's psychologist, Carol Dweck, we have to know the difference between two mindsets people could have. And you may be familiar with these, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. With a fixed mindset, people believe their basic qualities, like intelligence or talent, are just fixed traits. They spend their time documenting their intelligence or talent instead of developing them, and believe that talent alone creates success, which sometimes can be wrong. In a growth mindset, people believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. This mindset creates a level of learning and resilience that is essential for great accomplishment. Research shows that people who have this mindset reach higher levels of success, creates motivation and productivity. It enhances relationships and increases achievement. So as parents, we want the best for our children. We do whatever it takes for them to be successful. The most important thing parents can do for their children is help them develop a growth mindset and praise them for their efforts instead of their talents. It's also important for parents and teachers to help with pointing out efforts to reach potentials by working with a purpose and taking challenges to grow. Next slide, please. So we know that when the campus collaborates, reviews data, mindsets are shifted, making it easier to build relationships between teachers and families, interrupting the assumption and implicit biases that educators and families have about each other. And so through campus collaboration, teachers and parents can support students by helping them understand that when their intelligence is developed over time, it will help them do better in school and out of school. So a study that was done by Dr. Dwight, who I mentioned earlier, showed that students can get motivated to become active learners and to take charge over their growth of their brain and over their success. Teachers change their thinking about students. They experience mind shift and rethink assumptions. They learn how to be better at engaging students, and they show more empathy. Families change their thinking about school as well. Families become less intimidated, feel like partners with teachers, and are more likely to communicate with teachers and school. And so the question is, how can relationships be built? How do families get to know the teachers? Next slide, please. We do this by building relationships. Teachers and families get to know each other. But more than that, teachers learn about the students. Now remember, we only had 4 campuses incorporating family engagement with the whole school model. But we had a total of 90 additional schools throughout the district participating in home visits, which means many of you may have collaborated and built these relationships already. Previously, in our past school years, we were able to do home visits. Now, under the circumstances, we will have home-to-home visits. Teachers will not be able to visit you at your home, but instead, your student's homeroom teacher, or if your student participates in a special education program, that home teacher will be the one reaching out from their place of instruction to your home, virtually or by phone. Next slide, please. So during this visit, teachers create bonds and extend education beyond the 4 walls of a classroom, inviting parents to be part of their children's education. Home visits help teachers learn about the students' lives, interests, hopes, and struggles, families' cultures, and traditions. They recognize differences in family structures. Families understand schools and help schools understand families. Teachers learn more about their students, their backgrounds, their cultures, their concerns, their goals, their needs, and their children's views. Parents become more involved in their children's education, and as a team, bridge that cultural gap that might occur between student and teacher. And of course, they build on establishing those relationships for a lasting effect on the child, the parent and parent-teacher communication. Next slide, please. So home visits gave parents, and I say gave because that's what we called them previously, give parents and teachers the opportunity to meet simply to talk and collaborate for the benefit of the child we all care about. So during the visits, the teachers visit each student on their homeroom roster. Teachers go in pairs. They document each visit and record important information such as parents' hopes and dreams for their children, as well as the best form of communication. And remember, I said during those visits, those home visits that we previously did in the past. During the visit, parents may share other information that can be a barrier to success, such as health-related issues, family issues, or just previous school problems. Keep in mind that all information shared with teachers stays with the campus, stays with the school, and it is not shared with anybody that is not helping support our family engagement goals. This is data that helps the campus and district identify the needs and provide additional support and resources. Keep in mind that last school year, we had a total of about 94 campuses participating in home visits. This included several elementary, middle, and high school. If you have questions regarding your campus participating in home-to-home visits, please reach out to your campus home-to-home visits coordinator, and this assigned team member will be able to support you. But please be patient. We are in a new era, and with us, we are identifying and finalizing details for this new school year. Next slide, please. So during the home visits, teachers will be able to create customer service, high expectations, and desire to make sure every student is successful. And the efforts of all educators involved help create a culture of caring and achieving. So the teacher's benefits include, as a reminder of how powerful and important it is to develop a culture of caring by finding those gifts, interests, and needs of students and better understanding of a more empathy for their students who face a challenge. Home visits helps with increased connection with students and families, the collaboration with colleagues, culture competence, less stress, and burnout. Biggest benefit of home visits is a better understanding of the child's environment and how that environment might impact the child's learning in the classroom. Next slide, please. So when parents are more familiar with their child's teacher, they are more likely to become involved with their child's learning and more involved with school activities. Families' benefits include more engaged in child's academics, increased trust and communication with the teacher, higher confidence in helping child's success, and more likely for parents to become involved. With all these benefits, home visits can empower the entire school community. Next slide, please. Students' benefits of home visits is students realizing they have a network of support. Children have a sense of relief knowing their parent and teacher have met. They feel comfort knowing that their teacher understands their home, situation, and in knowing what they do in the classroom may have consequences at home. Students are making smoother transitions from school to school. Parents are more supportive. There is a vital connection between teachers and students and between home and school. The #1 benefit, according to the study by the National Study of Johns Hopkins University, students are more engaged in school and at home. They have increased attendance in school, lower chronic absenteeism, improved behavior, and higher test scores. And the study also examined that the impact of home visits in 4 unidentified school districts participating in home visits for students, they only had issues less than regularly attending schools. For example, students began attending school regularly and passed those standardized tests. Next slide, please. And so you are probably thinking, what is a home-to-home visit? What does it look like? And how do parents participate? Home-to-home visits will allow the opportunity to serve more families. It will be an effort for teachers and families to continue to know each other and make meaningful connection during the time of increased anxiety and need. The challenge could be that at this time, not all families may have services and internet access that would allow them for smooth connection. But the remote visits are an important and effective way to provide support. Virtual home visiting will make it possible to access and serve hard-to-reach communities, especially those families with a delicate child or for families that move often. And so now we have parents and teachers who are partners, which means they will be able to continue communicating. Next slide, please. And the way they will be able to partner is either virtually or through telecommunications. Virtual, which is allowing the platform for two-way, real-time audiovisual communication between teacher, family member, the guardian, and the telecommunication way is the virtual visit that is completed via audio phone calls. Two ways that we have become very fond of lately. So with these home-to-home visits, teachers will be able to continue establishing trusting relationships with students and families, even when they cannot see each other face-to-face. It is a proactive, intentional re-engagement by family. It is a scheduled video call or phone call between the homeroom teacher and the student's family, either from the teacher's place of teaching, either at home or at school, and the family's location. This year, we were able to do home visits with families from 20 to 30 minutes. Next slide, please. So what would a home-to-home visit look like? The visits will be all about the child. The teacher's not evaluating you, your family, your parenting, or anything at all. Even though you may want to take advantage of the time and get tempted to ask those burning questions related to the program, discuss parental anxieties, or talk about your child's capabilities, it is important that you remain focused. If you have questions, speak to the teacher about scheduling another time to do so. It is not a conference time. Also, we know that this is a crazy time in your child's life, but it is not a time to show it. If you're anxious, your child will pick up on it, which will increase his or her anxiety. Therefore, remember to remain positive, excited, and new school year is beginning. And it's hard to do that, we know. Next slide, please. So as parents, continue to prepare for home-to-home visits. Keep in mind that you are establishing your child's sense of security with this teacher. Inviting teachers to your home signals to the child that this is a safe person and friend. Minimize who is present during the visit. Try to schedule visits when the other members of the family or guests are not present. This minimizes others' distraction and involvement. Be respectful of the teacher time. Do not expect teachers to stay on the visit more than what was scheduled. Teacher conducts visits for many students, and there could be another family in the line for a visit. In case the visit does not go well, don't panic, because there could be interruptions, emergencies, and you may just have to reschedule time for another time to speak. But if you have questions regarding your campus participating in home-to-home visits, like I mentioned before, reach out to your campus home-to-home visits coordinator. Next slide, please. So as I spoke to you earlier, one of the campuses that participated in the whole school model was Julian T. Saldivar Elementary. And so from all of those 4 campuses, we had 666 home visits completed. That means 666 families, give and take those families that may have more than one child. Now we could have had more, yes, definitely. We have room to grow, but I think we will do better this school year with our home-to-home visits. At this time, we will hear Principal Edgar Jaramillo share with us about the Saldivar home visits experience.
Hi, my name is Edgar Jaramillo. I'm the proud principal of Saldivar Elementary. I just wanted to share a few words with you all regarding what the home visit project has meant for us at Saldivar. It's been an amazing journey. It's really helped us launch and begin to learn more about ourselves and reflect on how can we build more trust with our parents. And it really starts with just understanding biases and really just surrounding ourselves with the understanding that in order to build trust, we have to put more intentional effort behind it. So waiting for it to happen. The Home Visit Project has really given us some actionable steps to really take that step one at a time, and that's a very gradual but intentional process. Parents and even teachers and students have really shared with myself and even just as a whole campus how impactful it's been regarding just really having stronger conversations and feeling like we're more unified as a team between family, student, and teachers. As a leader in Salvador, I have noticed how our parents feel more empowered, more confident, more open to having conversations that they typically would not have in prior years. So the number one thing has been just building trust. We're not nearly where we want to be, but we have definitely made strong gains and strides. With the COVID-19 situation, this trust-building process has really helped us with continuing to communicate and continuing to make sure that we're supporting our parents. So this could not come at a more perfect time. I'm so grateful to be a part of the home visits, and so is my staff, and we're just excited about continuing this process, and it's really been a pleasure, and I stand behind it, and I know many schools and communities will benefit from this process, so I look forward to continuing this process together.
And so this team is a collaboration. We just heard Principal Mr. Jaramillo, but now we're going to hear from Bertie Valadez, who she's a teacher and also has an experience with the home visits.
My name is Bertie Valadez. I'm a pre-K teacher. This coming year will be my 15th year teaching at Yepez. I have been doing home visits for the past 3 years, and it has been a great experience. Home visits helped me to have a strong relationship with parents. After home visits, parents were more open to ask questions about the children's progress, and some parents that at the beginning of the school year never want to talk to me. After I visit them, they have more confidence to call me or text me if they have questions regarding the school work. And more important, I have less students absent and more students completing their homework. When the schools closed last year, the great communication I had with parents because of the home visit made the virtual teaching a success. And this coming year, we will have home-to-home visits. We won't be able to go to your house personally, but we see each other virtually. However, I hope all parents are willing to participate so we can know each other better. I would like to have a strong relationship with all the parents so we can help better our students.
So as you can see, participating in home visits, Salvador Elementary was able to create an academic partnership. At this time, think about academic partnerships. What does this mean for you? What is it? Academic partnerships is both teacher and families working together. Home-to-home visits help teachers get to know their students and their families. The parents become powerful advocates in their child's education, and the home-to-home visits can give teachers the insight they need to help students succeed. Academic partnerships begins with goal setting, which means having those conversations, sharing with teachers your child's expertise so that they can better understand and reach each student. Asking questions to increase understanding of why and what teachers want their child to learn. How teachers evaluate your child's learning and how your child is doing at that time in school. Learning supporting strategies that are focused on your child's individual needs that you can use at home with your child would be a must. Set goals with teachers to work regularly on academic skills at home and collaborate with teachers to meet those goals. Next slide, please. So academic partnerships is both teachers and families working together. And so when it's time to meet with the teacher may share information in a note, in a letter, by calling you on your phone, at home, or on your cell phone, or just by reaching out via email. Because collaboration is important, ensure that your child's campus has the correct information to be able to reach you. Establish clear two-way channel of communication from home to school and school to home. Next slide, please. At this time, Take a few seconds and ask yourself the following questions. How am I engaging as a parent to help support my child's learning? Who do I usually talk to? How do I collaborate? How often do I collaborate? Keep those thoughts in mind. In this next slide, we will discuss effective parent roles we can play to help support our children's learning. Next slide, please. As we heard earlier, there are 5 roles that we can identify ourselves in supporting our students' learning. We can, 1, communicate high expectations, 2, monitor our children's performance, 3, support learning, 4, guide our child's education, and 5, advocate for our child. Pay attention to this graph. You see that it begins with communication and it continues with the roles, and then it has an arrow. Why do you think it has an arrow? Why do you think there's an arrow at the top? If you're thinking because the roles don't stop, we continue to play these roles over and over as much as we can, that is correct. They do a continuous bouncing from one to the other. They don't stop. Next slide, please. It's an ongoing process. It's things such as teaching your preschooler to read before entering school, teaming with the school, be an advocate for your child, and monitor your child's progress, praising your child's effort, not the achievement, always celebrate those successes. Having heart-to-heart discussions at home about success and or problems in school. Investigating your child's academic problems before assigning blame. When possible, encourage and or help with homework and encourage your child to prepare for tests. Getting to know your child's teachers is important. Pay attention to your child's absentee and tardy rates. Making school a priority. Discussing realistic long-term school and life goals. Next slide, please. Campuses can have listening tours. Campus listening tours are our 5th component of our whole school model. And it's exactly what you're thinking. Someone is doing the listening. By the time you're at this component, the whole school model, you have learned how to collaborate with the campus. You learn how to best support your child academically and have learned the many things that the campus is doing, such as home-to-home visits to create those academic partnerships. Next slide, please. And so this is the time to partner with your teachers. Teachers will reach out for a 30-minute family listening interview, ensuring there's a permission, consent to share information. The family listening interview will consist of the family's experience with home-to-home visits, how welcome they felt at school, any barriers the families had to engage with the school, recommendations the family shares in ways the school can engage with the family, and the family listening interview is also a teacher's self-reflection. It will allow the teacher to reflect on posed questions such as, what did the teacher learn from the family interview? What was shared to be confirmed as true? What is something that will be done differently to engage families? This means the only way that we can help make a difference as parents is if we partner with the teacher reaches out for a home-to-home visit. And we continue that relationship to be able to have a listening interview. Next slide, please. Reminder, we know that if we, as parents, are actively engaged, we are building trust. And trust will make a difference in our children's academic achievement. It all begins with creating those relationships during your home-to-home visits. And so when the school year begins, the trust can help guide your child's academic success. And so now, how will you participate with your campus family engagement? Next slide, please. Keep in mind all that we have reviewed and what it will take for us to build on trust. And so let me leave you with two questions. How powerful can your home-to-home visit be? And in what way would this partnership help with your child's academic success? Thank you, families, for your time.
It is now time for our question and answer session. I've gathered the top questions asked in our Q&A feed, and I will allow Marlene to answer those at this time.
Okay.
Can you give an example of a fixed and a growth mindset? An example of each, please.
Okay. So let's talk about, for example, sports. You have a student that plays all the time, does really well, scores, he plays baseball. He wins the game, maybe 2 out of 3. And you sit there back and you mention to the parent next to you and you say, he's got this. He's gonna hit the ball, it's gonna go out to the field. But I've made that comment because my child knows how to hit the ball. Did I just stop my child from trying harder instead of maybe moving it to the left to move it to the right? Did I give him an opportunity to share a way, a strategy to be able to hit that ball? Giving him those opportunities. So let's bring that to the classroom. Your child is taking a spelling test. Your child does well with the action verb spelling test. And then he has a little challenge sometimes with others. But you comment and you say, you know what? My child is gonna make 100 in that spelling bee that they have next week because he does really well. You know what he does really well in is those small words. And for his grade level, he's good with those small words. But how about we give them some bigger words? How about I help and grow his mind to be allowed to practice bigger words, compound words, and challenge him that way. So the difference from one and the other is that the growth mindset that we want is to be able to offer those opportunities for our child to be able to grow and learn that the learning doesn't stop. There are challenges. And if you think you're good at one thing, let's challenge you in a different way. Let's add a little perk to it. Let's make it exciting.
Okay, thank you. One question, how can my campus have home-to-home visits?
Okay. We will soon be sharing information, which are those campuses that will be participating with the home-to-home visits. And I mentioned what it takes, the preparation for it, but I also mentioned that if you are not identified, as a parent who's gonna receive a home-to-home visit, it doesn't hurt for us to reach out. I can reach out to Dr. Johnson and ask her, how can I do this? Or I'd like to know you better. Or I'd like you to know a little bit about my child. You know what my goals are? I would love to see my child move up to the next level in his reading skills. Could you help me how to do that? And build that trust in that relationship. Mm-hmm. So we have not shared which campuses will be participating in those, but if your campus is not one of those campuses, please feel free to reach out and ask teachers. The best thing for us to do is to ask for that support. And teachers want that. Teachers want you to ask for that support. And that's what we're trying to break, that biases that teachers don't want to help or that parents don't want to be there. We've got to work together. And if we begin that relationship, your child will succeed.
Next question is, clarify, will home-to-home visits be virtual this year?
Yes, home-to-home visits will be virtual. It could be either a phone call or it could be like what we're doing now, this platform of being able to see each other. Absolutely.
Okay. Next question is, if home-to-home visits will be virtual, what is the difference between a virtual home-to-home visit versus a virtual parent conference?
Okay. Remember, what we're trying to do with our families, with our parents, with our teachers, we're trying to build that trusting relationship. In order for us to trust the teachers and for teachers to be able to trust the parents, we've got to reach out. And like I mentioned, we want to reach out to them individually. We don't want to ask questions regarding my son's performance that first time. We don't want to ask questions of the grading policy. We don't want to ask why he made a 50 on a test, why my child this, my child that. At the beginning, we want to ensure that when we do that first home-to-home visit, that we communicate information that helps us to help better support their child. We're building that relationship. We're getting to know each other. The next component is if they're reaching out, you build that trusting relationship, you're able to have those conversations. You have my phone number. Dr. Johnson will be able to call me. She'll be able to text me. I have built that trust. So let's first begin with getting to know who that teacher is and be able to have that relationship.
Next question is, how will families be chosen for home-to-home visits?
So again, like I mentioned, we're in the details of finalizing the plan, but if it's your campus, that may be all the students will be able to participate. And I mean participate by receiving a home-to-home visit, which could be virtually or on a phone call. And when that moment comes, your teacher will be able to reach out to you and make those confirmation and set that scheduled time.
Mm-hmm. How many home-to-home visits usually take place within the school year?
Right now, with the times that we are living, okay, the goal is to ensure that we have one at the beginning. And once you, again, it goes to that trusting relationship. Once you begin and have that trusting relationship, others will follow, because as parents, we are going to have questions. We're going to have wonderings. We've had wonders and questions this whole time of the system that we're in at this moment. And so that conversation is going to continue. It's going to continue. It's going to continue. We're doing it now virtually. And don't feel like you have to have only one. Do not feel like, okay, yeah, this teacher called me, Dr. Johnson called me, and that's it. Please, if Dr. Johnson calls you, reach back out if you have wonderings, if you have questions, to have another conversation on the topic that's needed at that moment. Do not hesitate. Absolutely, do not hesitate.
Okay. Next question is, if my school participates, will home-to-home visits be mandatory?
Okay. Home-to-home visits are not mandatory. But can you get something out of a home-to-home visit? If a teacher was to call you and wants to know about your students' hopes and dreams, because guess what? If the teacher tells me, I go back to the sports, my son likes to play baseball, okay? My son likes to draw. And for some reason he's not doing well with math, guess what? The teacher can make that connection and say, oh, let me do some math baseball problems. Oh, let me do some math drawings. And so we have to think outside the box that this is a time to build those relationships. And we want our students to be academically successful. And how can we do that? Building that trusting relationship.
Okay. So another question is,
those are good questions.
Right, they are. So another question, a parent wants to know, are they optional? And does a parent have to agree before they're chosen to participate in home-to-home visits?
Oh, absolutely not. As a teacher, you have a class roster and the teacher will be reaching out to the families. It's not.
Will you clarify that for us?
Okay, so let's say I'm the second grade teacher. I have a roster of 20 students. These are new students. We're beginning a new school year. I, as a teacher, want to know about my families, about my children, my students. I will contact the parents and see if they are, willing to sit with me in the phone at their home, them at their home, me in my home, wherever I'm at that instructional time, and conversate and talk about the child. Now, is it mandatory? You have the right to say no. Okay, you have the right to not be interested, but do know that we're building relationships, and in order for us to be able to help our child, your child, and I say our because he or she is our child, when we're together and helping and supporting, then it would be a beneficial thing. But do you have to have consent? If you mentioned that as well, consent because you may be sharing information, or we may be asking you questions, and we just want to ensure that, you know, we're all on the same plan and we know what our goals are, that we write down information for us as a teacher to help support your child.
Okay.
And so it is. I meant, sorry.
You go ahead.
I mentioned, you know, the data, and what data are we looking at? Like why consent? What are you going to do? What's happening? The data that we are looking at is, for example, what our children are saying, you know, how are they sharing, not students, but our parents, what are they saying regarding our students' goals, okay? Because if our parent says, my goal for my child is to one day be a policeman, okay? And another parent says, my goal for my child is for my child to be a teacher, and then we have a lawyer, and we have a doctor, and then we have another teacher, another lawyer. Well, guess what? We know what they're thinking. They're thinking academically, they want their child to be successful, that we have dreams for them, and that we're gonna help and support them in that way. And if we plan for this, we can say, you know what, we're gonna have a virtual, if it's virtual, the platform we are using, you know, today is career day. I know some of you would like to be a policeman or want to be a lawyer. Guess what? I make those connections. That's what that consists of. If our parents say that they hope their child goes to college, we provide and help support academically so that we can give them that setting in one way or another. Now, is it going to be an easy task to do? Is it going to be easy for us to coordinate the times that we are in? Absolutely not. But is it something that we can do by sharing a video, by showing them information, by educating everybody about it? Absolutely. So it's a team effort that we want to ensure that we are together to help our kids be successful. Data as well could be, you know, what the boys are saying they you know, they want to do, what the girls are saying. It could be data like the resources that the parents are needing. You know, through the conversation, parents need resources. So it could be all of that information that helps us to provide better support for them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Marlene, and thanks for clarifying that. Yes, it is optional. Home-to-home visits are optional, and that also parents do have to consent to participate in home-to-home visits. Thank you. We learned a lot this evening about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes our third and final session of the evening. We'd like to thank Marlene Yepez for sharing that helpful information with us this evening.